Craft. Our next story, of course, takes us out to the Big Apple in New York. Live picture there over Midtown Manhattan. You see the Empire State Building in silhouette. Oh, and you can also make out One World Trade there, the Freedom Tower. Wow, what an incredible shot there in New York City. In the meantime, though, we have to get you up to speed on day 4 of the federal sex trafficking and racketeering trial of Sean Diddy Combs. Well, this is what we know according to the Associated Press here. R&B singer Cassie was forced under cross-examination today to read to a jury her sexually explicit messages with former boyfriend Diddy, some of which showed her expressing enthusiasm for encounters with other men at Combs' behest that she previously testified she, quote-unquote, hated doing. Lawyers for Combs are seeking to portray Cassie as a willing participant in his sexual lifestyle and say that while he could be violent, nothing he did amounted to a criminal enterprise. Combs denies all the allegations and has pleaded not guilty to federal sex trafficking and racketeering charges here. Well, to help us make sense of what transpired in court today, let's be joined by our friend there, former federal prosecutor and legal analyst, Neama Rahmani. He joins me. Neama, good to see you here. I have to ask, first off, what was your assessment of Cassie Ventura's performance on the stand today while being cross-examined, this time by the defense? This was a first in this trial.
Andrew, I think it was mixed in terms of her performance. I mean, frankly, I expected more drama. I thought that this was going to be a Camille Vasquez, Amber Heard type day where the defense would go after her very aggressively. They chose Anna Estevio, a younger female lawyer, to do so. So I thought the gloves would come off. But really, today was all about the emails and text messages. And because the members in the courtroom and the overflow room couldn't see those exhibits because of the privacy screens the courts put up, because the jurors are seeing images of the freak-offs, it was actually a slower, more underwhelming day. I do think the defense scored some points because, like you said, there were plenty of messages where Cassie Ventura is saying that she wanted to participate in the freak-offs. She loved them. She was excited for them. She wished to FO, which stands for freak-off. So I think the words that she used are going to be certainly used against her, both as the cross-examination continues tomorrow, as well as during closing arguments at the end of the case.
So I just want to quote some of the testimony here that you already alluded to, talking about not her ambivalence, but her kind of open-armed approach, if you want to put it that way, to the very concept, the very invitation of a Diddy freak-off here. She said and told Diddy she is excited for the upcoming freak-off. She wants it to be, quote-unquote, uncontrollable. In one message from 2013, she raised the idea of a freak-off to Diddy, saying, quote, wish we could have freaked off before you left, initiating the very prospect of having one, participating in one, however you want to slice it here. That didn't do her any justice, did it, on the stand, to the juror? What do you think the jurors there, sitting there and listening, thought of that?
I think it's a potential problem, and it's a stark contrast from yesterday's because, like you pointed out, Andrew, we're talking about planning. We're talking about, this excitement to participate in, and certainly a willingness to do so, at least in the written word. And there were a couple other problems as well. Combs would have sex with other women while Ventura watched, so a reversal. And that supports the defense argument about this swingers lifestyle that the two participated in. And there was also some testimony about really rampant drug use outside of the freak-offs. Testimony about using drugs and experimenting at Burning Man, for instance, that really has nothing to do with sex. So very effective today. Again, maybe not so much for the folks watching, but I think at least as far as the jurors are concerned, they saw a different Cassie. So the question is, on redirect and with the government's expert witness, are they going to be able to explain away a lot of these messages and say, you know what, this was still manipulation, this was control, she couldn't say no, even though her words are saying otherwise?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the counterfactual to that, Neama, is they were in a relationship at the time here, and you've been talking about, and many have, the idea of consent. Was any of this consensual, or was Cassie Ventura doing this against her will? With the cross testimony today, was that very notion just kind of obliterated on the stand, that she was not doing this against her will?
I don't know if it was necessarily obliterated, but the prosecution took some significant blows. They did try to elicit some of this testimony during her direct that she loved him, and she never told him explicitly that she didn't want to do it. And that goes back to the defense's argument in opening that she voluntarily stayed in this relationship for more than a decade. So they're talking about the differences in age, the differences in power, and everything he did to control her. But what also came out today was testimony about Cassie's jealousy. And we knew the defense was going to jump on this. And I don't know if this was a misstatement or, again, trying to front potentially bad evidence for the jurors, but she admitted in her direct to being insanely jealous. And that, of course, is going to come into the toxicity of the relationship and the physical violence, because we know tomorrow and going forward, the defense is going to say that it was Cassie who was mutually violent with Combs.
All right. So kind of last point, though, on the Cassie cross here. We do want to just listen to Douglas Wigner, her attorney. Reporters caught up with him outside the courthouse as he was leaving. Let's listen to just a little bit of this. It's about 3.5 minutes if you have the time, Neama, and we'll get you to respond on the back end.
I said she was ready, and I think she's demonstrating that. It was a long day. It's nice to be outside right now.
It seems to me that the defense is really going in that she was an integral part of these freak-offs. How do you think the jury's going to take that?
Whoa! Oh, you okay? Sorry. You all right? Watch yourself. Look, I'm not going to opine on what the jury is thinking, but I think that Cassie's doing a great job on cross-examination, very long cross-examination. Hopefully it ends tomorrow, and so she can be done by the end of the week and put this entire chapter of her life behind her. She's doing as best as she can. She's obviously, tired, as you would expect, but she's holding up great. I mean, it's a real tribute to her.
How do you feel like how they're flipping the script with the cross?
I don't think they're flipping any script. It just seems they're reconfirming the direct.
Do you feel like today made me and everything that we saw in that video, you gave it an excuse for it?
I'm sorry?
Everything that we saw on the video, Intercontinental. Do you feel like today's testimony from Cassie gave an excuse when they kept talking about the withdrawals from the drug abuse? Which she has spoken to.
No, look, I don't know that. I don't think there's a legal defense to this case based on his drug use. So I'm not really sure what that's all about.
He looked a little more excited today, though. Like they had a win today.
Oh, well, okay. Well, it's not really up to what Diddy's team thinks. It's not up to what I think. Actually, it's what the jury thinks. And
feels any shame at all?
So
I don't know what he's thinking.
I saw Cassie touching her back and stretching and drinking lots of water. Do you think that the stress could possibly induce her to go in sooner?
I'm not a doctor. I'm just a lawyer. I have no idea. I hope
Does she
not.
seem okay when you speaking
There's a car behind you.
She seems great to me. She seems great.
Any word on how her husband is currently feeling?
I mean, I said it yesterday. If you were in his shoes, I think, this is difficult for him to watch, but he's holding up great.
What about the whole Suge Knight thing? Her saying that Diddy and his friends went without her, and then they brought it back that she said she went with them. Can that be damning?
I think that's just a minor point that unfortunately somebody got wrong when she was being interviewed. She didn't review those notes or anything like that. I think her the one thing about her testimony really is there's no credibility issues with her. The facts are the facts. She's telling them as they are, her truth. And they are what they are. This is not a typical cross-examination. There's no issues with her credibility. It's a testament to her.
Do you feel like they made her not as a young girl who didn't know what she was getting herself into, but someone who said okay to things? With that text message that showed her that saying it is what it is, and I'm okay with that. When they talked about Kim Porter and her being okay with not being able to spend holidays with his family, setting up that there was like a jealous situation that was happening. So I'm asking you talked about her credibility, right? Yeah. I feel like yesterday made her seem, we empathized with her yesterday. Today, we're seeing that there may have been almost like a motive to her anger, her upset, which resulted in the lawsuit and that where we are today.
No, I mean, the facts are the facts, the texts are the texts.
With Kim.
The facts are the facts, the texts are the texts, and I think that the evidence will be clear as the case goes on and Cassie's testimony goes on, and we'll see what the jury does. I have to go. I'm sorry.
Thank you very much. Have a great night.
All right, that was Douglas Wigder, the attorney there for Cassie Ventura, back here with Neama Rahmani. Neama, Doug Wigder said this was not your typical cross-examination. What do you think he meant by that?
Well, it wasn't your typical cross because it was really Cassie acknowledging her emails and text messages. There was no gotcha moment or the Perry Mason or the Amber Heard moments that, maybe folks expected today. I do think it was damaging for his client. I respect Doug, but it was not a good day for the prosecution. If I were them, I would have fronted a lot of these text messages and emails for the jury. And I would have really, crossed my own witness a little bit because you don't want the defense scoring these points when they get a chance to go after your star witness. So the question is, how will she hold up in terms of explaining away some of this? Obviously, according to Cassie and her lawyer, this doesn't mean anything, and they're minimizing this, and they're saying it's consistent with what she said yesterday and the day before, but I don't think so, and I don't think the jurors are going to think the same way. Now, I'm not saying this is fatal for the case. Obviously, the government has additional witnesses that are going to come and corroborate this and tell their story. That's why this trial is going to go maybe until July.
Yeah.
But I think if we're just relying on the state of the evidence right now, I think the defense has raised some reasonable doubt. I don't think the prosecution is going to get 12 out of 12 jurors where we stand today. But we're very early,
Right.
probably, the bottom of the first inning, if we're given a baseball analogy. So there's plenty of time left in the case.
So let's talk about what happens next. Is this it for Cassie Ventura, or will she have to get back on the stand tomorrow?
Well, the only drama today, Andrew, was Judge Subramanian really browbeating the defense and saying that Cassie Ventura has to be done tomorrow. I don't think it's going to happen. The judge certainly wants it to happen, but it seems like they're just getting started in terms of going through some of this evidence. I mean, some Combs' opioid use came out today, his overdosing at the Playboy Mansion. It seems like the defense is trying to use that to explain the 2016 attack. I don't know if that's going to be successful. We started getting into some of these other relationships as well. Rapper Kid Cudi was raised yesterday. Today we have the second celebrity, Michael B. Jordan, who Cassie Ventura dated. So we're starting to get into some other lines of inquiry aside from the emails and text messages. I don't think the defense is going to be done tomorrow. So we're going to see how the judge in the case, if he's willing to really hold that line and cut Cassie Ventura loose because of her pregnancy.
So, I mean, just for people who are new to kind of the legal process, to a high-profile trial like this, I mean, this is how it goes, isn't it? If you're one of the witnesses, even if you're the defendant on the stand, the last 10, 15 years of your life is just dissected. Every message you send, every conversation you have, every person you've interacted with, all out there in the courtroom, right?
No question. Andrew, when you're in law school, one of the first things they teach you is write every email and text message like it's going to be read aloud in court one day. And that is exactly what's happening because those words can be used against you. And that is precisely what we're seeing in this case. Cassie Ventura's own affirmation and love and seemingly willing to participate in these freak-offs is used to impeach and cross-examine her testimony from the past couple of days.
All right. Neama Rahmani, I can't thank you enough. I'm sure we'll be speaking tomorrow. Have a good night, Neama.
Thanks, Andrew. See you tomorrow.
All right.